Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Mading Ngor.
TownHall debate on the telecom sector, and with us have been Honorable Napoleon Adok Gai, incoming Director General, National Communication Authority, Mr. Gordian Kyomukama, Chief Executive Officer, MTN South Sudan, Mr. Wilson Lado, Technology Director and Representative of CEO of Zain, South Sudan, and we come back for the final round, speaking about emerging issues in the telecom sector. But before we continue, I am going to give a chance to the DG of NCA to answer some of the questions from the session. But before you go, Mr. DG, I'd like to give only one chance to singer Mayana Yom. He has a song. The music system is not working, but he can give us the lyrics. Mayan, take it away.
My name is Mayana Yomgoch, and I'm a new artist of South Sudanese. So this is my first time to come on the stage like you guys. So I'm going to give you guys 3 songs. One okay, one only. I have to sing 2 songs. One song is Denkar language and one song is Arabic. So I know there is a people who can. Okay, I'm going to start. Okay, listen now. Nas bijere wen, no. Nas bijere wen, akwana bijere wen, iyal tabanin, umma tabanin. Anna bufad wen, anda mamash wen, ajaman anda mufad min belet lebelet kida makos kena ul gene fi belet bitana kena ul saidu gisum zol ba okud waku. Yeah, nas bijere wen, akwana bijere wen, iyal tabanin. Uma tabanin, nas bijere wen, oh, nas bijere wen, akwana bijere wen, iyal tabanin, uma tabanin. Ajamana kena ul sibu kalam shakila kena gena kuba ukut kena mashakila shana na beres belet bitana oh, yeah, ana Sudani ana bufan min belet kida makusa na maidu itirama na bufan kabuturu janna, yeah, nas bijere wen, akwana bijere wen, iyal tabanin, uma tabanin.
Now the second one.
So that is the first song, and there is a second one for Dinka language, and I'm going to say sorry for people who doesn't know Dinka language. Okay. Cheyan mayan nayom, cheyan ewan nayom, antigaye bajunub da pana kima kan kaliu, pana buna kan kaliu, kecham mana chabelwil, engobuglo junubidi, engobuglo junub da, leko bugwatu buga chamashin bankwa, leko bugwatu buga chamashin bankwa, leko miti aber. Chidonga chari, engo buglo junubidi, engo na buglo. Leko bugatu bugata machine bankwa, leko da bankwa.
Mayan, can you translate it? What are you saying? Can you tell them what is your message?
Okay, my message. Okay. Gideon
In the song.
Oh, the meaning of the songs? Yes. Oh, the meaning is about, the meanings of my song is going to mix of generals. I told them there is no food, there is no school, no hospital. What can we do? Please, the big general, can you tell us what can we do?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, man. Shukran jazilan. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
And I'm going to say thank you for you guys all.
Mayana Yom is an orphan, but he doesn't leave it. He always smiles, and he would like a sponsorship. Speaking about corporate social responsibility. Thank you very much. And with that, I will transition to the DG, and thanks for the patience. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayan, for your wonderful song that reminds us our responsibilities. I would like to go back to the question of Rajab earlier about why the network quality deteriorated after 2018. You know, the war actually contributed a lot to the degradation of the quality of service, especially in the rural areas. Networks are called networks so because they interlink. And when one link is down, new route is defined through another medium of communication. Around our country, and particularly in Upper Nile, a lot of sites went down, not because they were destroyed, but probably because they were cut off from supply of fuel. A lot of sites were destroyed in Western Equatoria because the sites were vandalized, equipment were stolen, antennas were stolen. There was even an incident somewhere in Western Equatoria, somebody tried to remove a whole tower and to cross with it to Congo. So there was really, these incidences contributed largely to the degradation of quality of service in those areas. As government, we recognize that, and in the beginning of 2018, we signed an agreement with operators known as harmonization. And in that harmonization, the government gave them an exemption for equipment importation to restore networks in places which were affected by those vandalism. I think the operators have been doing that before the exemption was taken away finally. So they brought in a lot of equipment, but again there were issues because transporting heavy equipment to up country required clear security. The part that remain are areas where security and accessibility remain a challenge. But we are addressing it. We are very optimistic with the peace finally realized. A lot of parties to the conflicts have been very forthcoming, and they are helping and encouraging that sites are restored, as we have seen recently in eastern Equatorial areas of Mogui and Lobone, and we are also seeing in Nasir, and hopefully the other areas in far northeast Upper Nile will be up. Of course, we managed to address the human error. Then the nature issue came in with the flooding affecting some site that has been there before, as we have witnessed in Pibor and now in Greater Bor and much of part of Jungule. Sites have been submerged and equipment destroyed. So basically cutting people off. So we have made it clear to the operators that we will support them to restore those sites. In the beginning of the year, we installed a site in Pochala, which is our far east border town, and even done by MTN. We still face a challenge because that site is running on a diesel generator. Apparently there's more rain there, so the solar were really overwhelmed. Sometimes it goes up and down, but I could imagine the logistic of flying diesel from here to Pochala. So those are some of the issues which brought degradation of quality immediately after 2018. But of course, MTN, as we heard from Zain, there is effort to do restoration, and our role as regulator is to facilitate these people to reach outside Juba and be able to bring the quality of service to be the same. Quality of service to be the same. The same quality of service in Raja should be the same as in Yambio. So this is what I wanted to bring clearly.
One of the questions that has come up and I would like to put to the NCA was the question of harmonization of prices. If you call on net and off net from Zain to MTN and MTN to Zain. As we speak, when you call off net to the other network, there is a charge for it. Is that going to be harmonized so that it is one rate? Maybe the NCA can highlight that.
I think the call on net and off nets, they are regulated by NCA. And NCA has not increased the tariff for the last 3 years. What has been happening and what is happening now is that those tariffs are pegged at a dollar rate. And we have been looking at the way, how do we address this inflation that is keep catching up with us? Because NCA took initiative to regulate the rate at which those tariffs are exchanged with. And the rate that we have so far is 170 to the dollar. And of course, it has put the operators at great disadvantage because when they go to a commercial bank, the rate is not the same, you all know. And when they go to black market, it's even worse. So basically, we have kept the tariff on one level, but only the exchange rate that keep changing. And that's where we call it rate adjustment, not tariff increase. Because we kept the tariff at the same, we are still the lowest in the region. That has got its own benefits and also some negative. Because of our low tariff, criminals have used our country to bypass traffic to other countries because it's cheaper to call from South Sudan to any other places. But in the region, we are still the lowest.
And is there going to be any new rate adjustment? You have kept it at a minimum. Are you now saying as a problem for, as a solution for solving the problems of the poor network quality that the operators have to be viable, there has to be a new adjustment? Are you saying that definitively?
Yes, we received the rate approval from our minister, and he made it very clear that the rate will not be released until the quality of service has improved. We basically put the operators onto task that before we announce the rate adjustment, we need to experience the quality of service. And that is part of this proceeding is for us now to engage in this and get feedback from public. And we will continue this exercise. Before we adjust the rate, we will always come back to engage the public and to see if there are improvements. And also to understand the rationale why we need to adjust the rate. Because they are operating at loss. The inflation is affecting the importation of services. So otherwise, telecom will go down. We have to keep catching up and adjusting. While we do this, we bear in mind that we have to make it affordable to everybody.
Let me hear from the operators what they think about this rate adjustment idea. It is something that is approved, but there is this chicken and egg thing. Is it the network to improve first, or should the rate go first? What is your take at this point? And what will it take, and when will it take to effect this?
I think, to me, if we adjust the rate to something that is realistic in the market, I think if you see even historically, 170 is a rate that was done more than 1 year ago. And since then, there's a lot that has changed in the microeconomics of the country. And adjusting it, even if we are adjusting it, I don't think the NCA would even approve that we adjust that exchange, that rate to what we are seeing today in the market. So it can never go to 400. So when we adjust that, what it is actually doing is to reduce the losses that we are currently making. So the losses we are already making because through these the official rate and then having to fend for ourselves to get hard currency to buy the equipment, that whole gap between that, it will only narrow that gap, but it doesn't take away the actual losses that we are going to incur. But again, as I said before, we share in the optimism of the potential in South Sudan, and that's why we are.
The adjustment is actually an increment. So what is it that will, what is the rate? Can you clarify it?
Well, I think the rate, normally it's the NCA that would make that announcement.
So it is 170?
Yeah. That's the current.
It is going to change?
Yeah.
Pending the improvement of the network. Thank you very much. Let me hear from Zain. What do you make of this issue of rate adjustment or increment?
Thank you very much, moderator. Actually, as the DG did mention, the last update of the tariff was when the dollar is 170. And if you ask anybody here, what was the cap, what was the bottle of water when the dollar was 170? I think they even maybe have forgotten that, because basically there's a big change that has happened from 170 to where now we're all aware of what is happening. So what is being proposed, and that the DG will mention later, is even less than what now we are seeing in the market. So basically, this is just to give us a room to breathe. You know, sometimes you need something to breathe so that you can regain and start the journey. So what is going to happen definitely will let us to breathe. And as we say that, you know, always for you to enhance, for you to improve even your house, to make renovation in the house, you need some money. So definitely we are looking forward for that, so that we improve more. We have already improved, as I said before, and it has been testified by many of the audience here. But definitely, when that tariff adjustment is done, there will be more improvement. Let me say more improvement, highlight that one, make it bold and italic. So there'll be a lot of changes that's going to happen.
Which one comes first? The regulator says that you improve the network before the adjustment kicks in.
We are discussing with them. They are even following up together. They're making some tests to ensure that there's improvement. And once that improvement, because it's an ongoing process. You know, in technology, you do a lot of things. Fine-tuning, ensure that the KPIs are fine, and that the call drops are reduced, the call setup success rate is improved, and we are doing that. And I think they will help us to at least risk us so that we can improve better by announcing it the sooner, so that also you as my customers and the people of this nation can enjoy these better services. And it's still streaming along the way as you drive your car.
In this process of transition for the operators and the regulator, what are you asking of the subscribers, the consumers? What are you asking from them?
Basically, this is the benefit of this town hall, that we are interacting with you, with the civil society. Rajab is here, and different people from newspapers and media. This interaction is for you to know and understand, because this awareness now is made. You are here representing the people of South Sudan, and definitely you will re-echo this to the others to understand the details. That these technologies, that these services that you are doing is at a cost. When you are lying on your bed and checking your Facebook on WhatsApp, it's a cost. So definitely, I do believe they will be in line with us and in sync with us as we adjust the tariff.
And the same question for Gordian and also NCA.
Okay. Well, to the customers and the stakeholders who are here, I first of all want to thank you for the turn-up. I think this is the first round of round-table discussion that we've had, and I think all the chairs are filled. For those who are even our customers, I really thank you. We continue to drive the quality and give you the services that you deserve. But the dialogue that has started today is, I think, a dialogue that we need to continue. And I thank you for the frank feedback, because for me, there is nothing offensive about the feedback. I think the feedback only makes us improve and do better. So keep that coming. And there are many of you who are possibly representing other people who wouldn't come here. So when we do that engagement and solve the particular issue that you may have, we are solving it for so many others behind you. So I think I'm very grateful that you came and gave us your time on a weekend, and then we can only do better.
Same question to the DG. You raised the issue of vandalism, that some of the sites have been vandalized. Is a question of the public. But beyond that, what else would you ask from those who are here?
I think our public have suffered a lot from these services without knowing where to turn to. I would like to make this dialogue a benchmark for engagement, and that services will be delivered. They might cost money, but the most painful is that you pay so much and get so little. This is what we are trying to address. So it was also trying to make it aware that people didn't know what are the challenges this technology costs for it to reach you in that area. So while they are all looking for customer satisfaction, me as a regulator, my profits is the public satisfaction. So, and as I do that also, I would like to be made aware where have we fall short. So that's why we wanted to make the regulator, we are going to change the game. We want to make ourselves subject to public scrutiny. Both whether are we holding these people really accountable or have we been pocketed? This is very important. Because if you don't remind me that we need this has failed, then they will come to me and tell me all the flowers. And that is why I set up a complaint line. We are going to have a desk. You can walk to our office. We are going to institute a public affairs office, which will be available. And our regulation give us power to actually arbitrate and resolve dispute in these things. This has not been made public before, and we are going to make it now available for the public to reach us and seek result and seek report and ask what is this going to happen. And we do our best as we regulate them also. We try to facilitate, because one of our mandates is to promote and to give them that we promote this within the law. We have seen also in the state level, lines are blurred, who is responsible, because at some states, they go as far as interrupting services, because claiming that these belong to their jurisdiction, they go and levy tax, they withhold equipment. We have seen it recently in WOW, one of the areas which has been affected by flood in Twitch. They were sending solar and batteries, and they were held up for 2 months in WOW by the custom there, while the people in Twitch are demanding for services. So such gaps, we would like to bridge them by making ourselves also available at the state level. So this town hall is going to be replicated. We hope that with the resource available, we will be able to hold similar thing in WOW, in Yambio, in Ye, maybe in Awil, and somewhere in Upper Nile, Malakal, if need be, so that we make this available. We want to be reachable.
This is Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Mading Ngor, and with us in the panel, Honorable Napoleon Adok Gai, the incoming Director General, National Communication Authority, Mr. Gordian Kyomukama, Chief Executive Officer, MTN South Sudan, Mr. Wilson Lado, Technology Director and Representative of CEO of Zain, South Sudan. We are going to give chances from Hilda Aburi of MTN, Engineer Bulen Amos, NCA, and then some other chances, and we will go back to you, our audience, and we bring it back probably for the last time. Can I ask the microphone to be taken to them?
Hello. Thank you, Mading Ngor, the moderator of this session, the DG of NCA, our CEO, the head of technology in Zain. Greetings to you all. I stand here as the head of HR and corporate services in MTN South Sudan, and I'm really glad that we are having this forum whereby the public can also know what MTN is doing and what the challenges we are facing as a telecom company. And I'm happy that most of the things have been addressed by the panel discussion. What I want to say is part of the responsibility that I do is the corporate social responsibility. Regardless of the fact that the company is going through all the things which are shared here, we still did not go back to say that we will not give back to the community, because in every operation that we work in, it's our mandate that whether you make money or you don't make money, you give it back to the community. And for this year, we have, even when the pandemic started, we make it a point that we will go back to the government and say, how can we help? And this is what we did. We reached there before even Corona reached South Sudan to say, how can we help? And we gave our helping hand. We supported the government, the call center. We supported the youth to go and speak to other youth in the country. Right now, as we speak, we have supported as far as the regions, because most of our work was only done in Juba. But we thought Corona doesn't know Juba only. So we gave donations to WOW, to Rumbek, to Awil, and to Torit, as well as some of the partners in Juba here. So to date, we have spent almost 23 million SSP as a CSI of all the things we are doing, and that's not all. We still have other plans to give back to the community, and our pillars are to focus on the youth, because the youth are the future of this country. Even this network which is being fixed for the youth. So our focus is going to be on the youth, the women, as well as the environment. There's a big issue around the environment, and MTN, as part of our work with the sustainable development goals, is also to look at the environment. How can we work on, make sure that the environment we work in is clean? How do we dispose all these, our network things? Are we disposing them in a correct way that it doesn't affect the consumer at the end? So, Mading Ngor, it's our part as MTN to work hand in hand with the customer. Not only for the calls, but also to give back to the customer. And this is what I would like to say in this forum, that we will never leave you alone.
Thank you.
We'll go together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we go to the operator, to the NCA, Hamid Hussein of Zain. If he's not around, you're welcome.
Okay, good morning to everyone here. The protocol remains observed. And I just would like to reiterate on what my senior, Mr. Wilson, has already pointed out in regards to the setup of our operation in South Sudan. And just to add on to what he said, we've been operating in South Sudan for a very long time, and there is a series and a set of responsibilities that we responded to. And Zain has done a lot in terms of the corporate social responsibilities, and there are so many projects that we've been running through all the years, and we're not stopping there. Based on what we do, you know, it's a principle from our Zain group that whatever we do in the country, we have to consider customers first, because the principle is customer is the king, and we have to respond to whatever demands they put on the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and let me hear from Engineer Bullen Amos of NCA.
It's still morning, so good morning. Thank you, Moderator Ngor. Your programs are very educative, usually, and we have never missed. It's only when we have no power in the houses that we miss your program on the TV.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. What I would have said technically has been covered by the DG. Maybe I want to correct your initial introduction as incoming. He's already in.
He's new.
Well, if incoming means new, then I accept it. But he's already in. He has said all that I would have said, but maybe I just want to take this opportunity to really pay my special condolence to the two people who were remembered this morning, Engineer Mark Mayol and Paul Jacob. Mark is the person who mentored me in the telecom field, particularly in the satellite communication, since 1980. And Paul was a colleague in 1975 when we started working together in Radio Juba. Both of us were reporters before I went to telecommunications. This is a very important forum, and I hope it will continue so that we interact, so that you people become our messengers to the people outside there about real function of the Ministry of Telecommunications or the National Communication Authority.
Thank you.
Yeah, we started minor regulation immediately after the CPA, and we were being rejected, or rather were being prevented by the then national government of, the government of national unity in Khartoum, that this was a competence of a national government, a sovereign national government. But still we pushed, and I'm happy that from a spectrum management department, it has become a regulatory body, which is really very important. I just want to say something very little about the fear of radiation. You are right. The person who posed the question about radiation, the dangers of radiation, is right, but it's not at this time now. We're lucky, and you are lucky, that most of you maybe were born after the analog bulky systems that were previously being used for broadcasting. I remember in 1976, when we were training telecommunications, you would hold a lamp, this long lamp, without any connection anywhere. You just move with it and it would light. This was an indication of very high radiation. But now, with the technology revolution, everything has been made very simple. So there's no fear of any radiation. And as my colleague and my DG and the other participants had said before, that most of the equipment coming in are coming with certificates of standardization, which we as regulators look at, because at the moment, apparently we don't have the laboratories to subject these equipments for type approval or testing. But we accept the certificates that come along with these equipments, which are certified under the FCC. So this forum is very important so that we can interact with our people. And I hope Mading will repeat this session one time, and maybe also to allow the audience outside to pose their questions, because this will be restricted to areas where there's TV coverage. But we have people like Guinea, Awil, and other areas who will not be able to access this very important discussion. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Defy Head. I'll go to the others, but let me give chances to the host.
My name is Nelson Kwaje. I work with DeFi Head now, but I will not speak on that voice. I'll rather speak on my capacity as a technology activist in this country, and also part of the founding team of the Internet Governance Forum. I have 2 points. One of it is on the duopoly, and the second point is on consumer protection and strategic litigation. So my background is in tech. I think one of the things that happened in this country, which kind of hasn't been mentioned or hasn't been mentioned enough, is the exit of VivaCell. And when you look at the data from the World Bank, the exit of VivaCell, there was a dip in the number of, there was a decrease in the number of consumers, or in the number of subscribers due to that. And then you have this situation where you had these two networks which did not have the capacity to accommodate what I call orphan subscribers from VivaCell, and then that immediately reduces the quality of service. The providers can correct me on that. I think before the conflict we had 4 MNOs here. Now we're remaining with 2, which is a duopoly. What that means, 2 things. This market is very tough, and also now it is the level of competition has reduced. And because of this is telecommunication, the price of entering the market is not like opening a shop. So I can predict, someone can correct me on this, there is no new mobile operator that will come in the next 5 years. The price is so high to start that, and our market is already not desirable. So we, good or bad, we're stuck in a marriage with these 2 operators. Good for us. But what does that do to competition? So like there is a very important question here. Like I know we're having this discussion of like how these two mobile operators can improve the service, but we're in a duopoly. What are the things being done in order for us to have probably a third provider or even increase the thing? The second question is just like on consumer protection, and that is something that has been mentioned here, but we need to do it. We have the Right to Access Information Act. We can summon these companies anytime to ask for any information that we want. Zain is a public traded company. That question on profitability, we can easily check it online. The same thing with MTN. But then the other thing is on strategic litigation. I know we have been petitioning them, but I think the public and the civil society needs to start doing strategic litigation. So that if your service, if you feel that there is illegality in how the service is being delivered, let us sue them. Even if it's for fun, at least it shows that there is some effort.
Okay, thank you. So we are brought back to the whole argument about supply and demand. The NCA will answer that. Internet Society, before we go to anyone else.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Joseph Gama, and I'm here representing the Internet Society. So my question is, before I ask my question, the Internet Society is a body that is there to encourage the use of the internet. So anything that promotes and encourages the use of internet, that's what I'm here for. My question revolves around mobile money. One of the accelerators that has encouraged and made the penetration of internet so far, if you look in the region, is mobile money. If you think of e-commerce, you immediately think of ways of how money can be paid for that service that you're going to provide. If you look at the model that has been used in Uganda, in wherever, all over the world, you would notice that the real carriers like MTN and Zain are the ones that are providing the mobile service, the mobile money services. While in South Sudan, we'd have a different approach. Obviously, there's an issue of trust, especially with South Sudanese. There's at one point, Vivacell went down. The banks were closing in certain areas. So the issue of money, ensuring that, so when you ask South Sudanese, why aren't you using some of these services? One of the issues that they have in their mind is trust. So as NCA, what are you putting in place, or what plans do you have that, or I don't know if it goes to NCA alone, MTN, Zain, what are your plans on mobile money? Because as an internet society, a representative, we want to see innovations in the mobile money.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give you chances for questions only. From behind there, very quickly, because we have very little time.
Thank you, Mr. Ngor. I'm called Charles Locker. I have a question to NCA. The question is regarding hate speeches and fake news, which is actually flooding South Sudan. So what's the role of NCA in regard to this? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And down there. I'll come to this side as well.
Yeah, my name is Richard Rawati, and before I proceed to my question, on behalf of the people of Western Equatoria, I want to regret for the disappearance of equipments to Congo. We will make sure that we trace them through the forestries at some point. I think my question is very much to do with what we have seen in other countries where MTN is working, especially the issue raised earlier on by Nelson Kwaje. In Nigeria, South African companies that are operating there, that is the MultiChoice and MTN, they no longer play with the consumers in Nigeria because they used to behave in the same manner they are doing here, but the institution there, including the courts, the consumer protection, and whatever civil society, went after them. And when they went after them in terms of the price they are charging people, the lack of services, and then the courts ordered them to pay compensation and pay for stealing the public, they have been behaving well. I think it is about time that we don't just sue them for the sake of fun, but for the sake of paying back the money that was mentioned by Rajaf, stealing our 5,000. So if we don't start showing them to code, they will continue to play around with us.
Thank
so
you very much.
NCA, please do something about it. Thank you so
you
much.
very much. Last chance, this side. Very quickly, just a question.
Thank you very much. My name's Igama Ismail. My question goes direct to regulator and the operator. We have a problem of roaming. Yet we have an agreement in East Africa for one network, regional network. But when you come to roaming, you find the money that you have here will be charged the other side. And Zain completely does not have a roaming services. What are you doing about this?
Thank you very much. And this side, I will begin with the chairman of the Red Army, Deng Bol.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mading. First of all, let me say thank you very much to Comrade DG Napoleon for organizing this important forum, and to the wonderful panel, all of you, and my minister, former minister on my left. Everybody, thank you. Good afternoon. My question is going to be very brief. Basically, my background is ICT, although I'm doing other things now. What I see in South Sudan is that ICT is very frustrating. And I got out of it a long, long, long time ago because of the frustration. I was once in the Ministry of Information, ICT now. Let me just say that we actually have poor network in South Sudan. Mr. CEO and also the representative of the CEO of Zain, we have actually not accepted very much your apology. And we also would like to say that we don't see any connection between poor network and the dollar rate. I would call it sheer incompetence. When you call a number of someone that you just talked to and says that the number does not exist, that doesn't make sense at all. And there are many, many things. I'm going to write them down now that I've known you. I'll bring all these complaints directly to you instead of complaining on the internet. I have seen, and let me not focus only on doom and gloom, but there has been a lot of revolution and improvement in our ICT industry in South Sudan since 2007, the time I first came to South Sudan. I want to congratulate you for all this improved internet service, and especially the fiber optic thing that is here now for the first time. I was able to use internet, not only see it. The internet that was in Juba all these years is internet that you can see but not use. But now at least people can use the internet. My questions are, one, and this goes to the NCA. There seems to be a monopoly of MNOs, that is mobile network operators. Now we have Zain, and we have MTN, and indeed many people have been trying to acquire new licenses. Unfortunately, these licenses are only given to people only to keep them in their bags in their houses. While a lot of people have interest in building South Sudan, I would like to disagree with my brother who said that many people may not be interested in investing in South Sudan. I believe that someone right now can put $100 million US on this table and want to invest today.
The next question?
Yes, and the next question is about the fixed post pay. I believe a lot of people spend over $100 a month speaking on these networks. Is there a way that anyone can pay $100, an equivalent of $100? This is the equivalent of what I spend every month on your phone. You pay and then you use as much as you can.
A monthly subscription.
Monthly subscription.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Rebecca Joshua, and then very quickly I'll come to you guys.
Thank you very much. One, let me appreciate my son, my grandchild, Mayan, the singer. God is with you and he will reward you. Very quickly, I just want to say, one, there was a mention of the towers And maybe just for clarity, is it the issue of where to set them, or people refusing their land to be rented, or fears of radiation? I think a bit of clarity is important so that it helps also the regulator to answer that. Number two, I haven't heard anything about the Universal Access Fund. Maybe that would also be good for us to know where we are. There was a talk about the corporate social responsibility. I appreciate what has been happening throughout, but let me specifically focus on two. One, I'm a chair of Special Olympics South Sudan, and that covers people with disability, intellectual disability. And we've been running around getting some support within the corona time. Could somebody answer us, please? Because these are people with some disability problem, and we need to do that. Number two is personal direct. There was also a talk about corporate social responsibility regarding youth. What about the born before computers, some of us, the BBC, who are now turned digitized and technology, and we want to study in the area of technology? Are you also considering us? Me in particular, I want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just next to you, immediately next to you, Anim.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mading, and to the wonderful panelists. My name is Anima Mitai. This question is probably directed to NCA and maybe some of the government representatives that are here. I think maybe 2015, I don't know, Minister, you might correct me, South Sudan became a member of the Secretariat of Smart Africa. And I think last year at the African Union Heads of State Summit, which was South Sudan was represented by Vice President Waniga. And I think as part of Smart Africa, South Sudan is able to enjoy, certain privileges, certain, certain opportunities that come out of that. I mean, and Smart Africa basically is about digital inclusion of the African economy. And I don't know in this context where we are competing, or not really competing, but where we're comparing ourselves with countries like Rwanda and others who are like far advanced. What plans does the government have in regard to that? Because I think we pay a certain subscription, and that is probably going to waste if we are not enjoying the privileges or we are not enjoying the opportunities. But also then, what is the role of the private sector in this case? So not only the telecom industry, but also the internet service providers, and what can be done by the regulator and the government to be able to fast track that.
Thank you very much. I only have 2 minutes for questions. So just one question.
Thank you, Mading Ngor. My name is Paul Chabed. I'm directing my question to the DG of NCA. As people would say normally and usually, that South Sudan is a young nation. And with the evolution and advance of technology, our people now are so much into internet and everything. How protected are we in terms of information, in terms of our resources? For instance, scammers are all over. Someone would say, you have just won a brand new Apple laptop. And you see, with a lack of understanding of how this thing operates, how protected are we? We have heard of people losing land, someone selling their land somewhere in Tongping, to help pay for transportation of some of his goods that he has won in the internet. But he ended sending money to the scammers. So how is the NCA prepared to protect our consumers?
Thank you very much. And right here, his hand has been up. Just a question.
Sure, I will always ask questions, nothing more. My name is John Biar. I'm an active consumer of the service in question. Directly asking a question that has been asked, but a little bit, just some definite approach. And specifically, the biggest threat to public interest is normally monopoly. And it can be worse if at all, like the three of you here agree, we will be in trouble. So are there proper mechanisms that protected us from you agreeing against us in one way or another? I think the NCA can help, and I know the Honorable DG is a very competent man. We have known him before, and I think things will be better there. Second thing is roaming protocols, especially, it varies. I don't know whether I'm right, but I've experienced it when I'm traveling. There are some areas I expect you people to help us before you even acquire a local network there. We should be able to communicate using our home network, but it is usually very limited. It's not there in most cases. I think that is also, and then again, the last thing is the fiber optic. It is very expensive and is supposed to be cheaper. I don't know why in South Sudan, because all over the world, people celebrate when fiber optic is in the country. But for us, it's totally a disaster. It's very expensive. Is there any answer?
Thank you very much. And you forgive me if I don't give you another chance, because that is all the time we have. And there are a lot of questions that have been asked, and there should be a bit of time to answer them. So let me begin with the DG of NCA to answer some of the questions. And then the colleagues will answer, and that will bring us to the end. So it will not go back again. But I'm sure there are more chances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mading Ngor. I would like to start with the question raised by Nelson Kwaje about the departure of Vivercell and the orphan of the subscribers there being consumed by the other remaining operators. Of course, the circumstances leading to the departure of Vivercells have not been made very clear to the public before, because Vivercell was a license the license holder before independent. And when the government decided to harmonize all the license so that all the operators who were operating in our country before independent had to be now brought under our laws as a sovereign state. I think that's where led to the dispute between Vivercell and the regulator and the policymakers, because basically Vivercell would like to bring on the issues of exemption which they got before independent of 35 years. I wouldn't dwell into detail because Vivercell has taken the government of South Sudan to the International Arbitration Court. So there is a case going on, and we are not ruling out completely that Vivercell may not return. If their issues are addressed, if they manage to settle with the government, there's a likely possibility they will return. We have not yet withdrawn the license. We only suspend their operation. So in our books, they are still a license holder because they still possess a frequency that was allocated to them. And up to now, we are still waiting for the result of the arbitration. That addressed the issue of monopoly. Of course, the departure of Vivercell, which had a large subscribers, also affected the other operators. Networks are designed with a specific capacity. And when there is a sudden rush into that capacity, that network now begin to operate either in full capacity or has to make amend in order to absorb those people. So immediately, that's why you saw MTN start having crisis and Vivercell having, Zain having issues. But thank Lord that they were able to absorb these people and rapidly expand. I think nobody was left out. Of course, there are areas where Vivercell was active and was good, as many as stated before. But again, you cannot fill that gap because the network were stretched according to different places. They were not in the same place. There are towns and villages in our region where only one network is available, as it was stated earlier. And since Vivercell went down, those people did not have services. What we did as a regulator is to encourage the remaining operators to use what we call infrastructure sharing. That means you don't have to wait to build your tower. It is our policy that towers can be shared. So if you have a village with one tower which was used by Vivercell, and Vivercell no longer there, we try to encourage Zain and MTN to use that tower to deliver services, so that we responded by infrastructure sharing to that matter. Of course, the issues of monopoly come into bear. South Sudan had 4 licensed operators just after independence. Gemtel departed due to financial reason and because the investors had a problem, which was the Libya green investment, which was owned by government. And when Libya collapsed, we did not know exactly who in Libya was in charge of this investment. And the whole thing fell apart. We could not tell who is in charge until they did not have resources to run their network, and they closed down voluntarily. Again, we have not withdrawn the frequency from Gemtel, because we consider them still valid. But those frequencies are resources. They are resources belonging to our country. This answers also the point where someone said that there are people licensed and they are holding frequency. These are part of them that are holding frequencies and resources. Of course, there has been other network applying for this licensing. We have issued almost 3 licenses. One license was given to a company called Oye, another license given to a company called Niletel. None of them came to operations. And last week, I made a decision to revoke those licenses so that they can be available to be auctioned to other available operators. The idea is to break the monopoly of 2 operators. So we are now looking to bring other operators on at least before end of the year. There should be a 3rd or 4th operator. But our market is very small. It is not the cost. It is the return in investment that is deterring people. We are a population of about 10 million, and only now we have a subscriber base of about 3 million. With all the challenges we are facing, these people that are applying for a license, they are coming knowing that this environment is not able to accommodate them. They are doing market study. But as our stability, we are gaining it back, and this peace hole, I'm sure many people will come forward, and this monopoly of 2 operators will be broken. That is how we are addressing that. The question by Gama about mobile money. Of course, we have licensed 2 mobile operators, 2 mobile money operators. One of them is NilePay and M-Grush. Our policy on this ground is to establish a mobile money platform. We try to make mobile money telecom independent. This is the policy that is being promoted in the region. To make telecom independent and encourage interoperability and within the country and outside the country. You have seen one of the reasons many of you in technology sector keep saying that South Sudan, we are new and we can leapfrog. Of course, you are new, you will not repeat the mistakes, but you are also new, you should not become the experimental in technology. So for us, we are guided by the fact that we don't want to repeat the mistake that has been done in East Africa, where one operator cannot talk to the next operator. So it was agreed as a policy of East Africa, as part of Smart Africa and in Northern Corridor, that interoperability must be made a precondition for anybody going to launch mobile, so that subscribers in Zain can send money to subscribe the MTN and vice versa.
Harmonization.
And subscribers can go also send money across the border, as we had somebody from M-Gruj earlier announcing that you can send money. We just don't want to, that should come seamlessly, irrespective where you are. That goes along with the issue of roaming. South Sudan, as part of the Northern Corridor arrangement, had made an agreement of what is known as one network area, where you will not be charged roaming charges. You can go with your phone to East Africa, make call with the same cost that you used to make in Gudele, and vice versa. And that's why today you saw an implosion of East African mobile companies selling, they set up kiosks to send money home using Safaricom. There's a lot of people here with almost indefinite roaming sitting in our country. So with that, of course, we made it condition to them. You cannot roam if your SIM card is not registered. It is also a requirement in the region that you must register, so that if your phone is going to be working, if you are in Mombasa or in Uganda, that SIM card should be registered here and has enough airtime for you to roam. So it is a normal thing. There are no extra charges. We have a fixed rate known as one area network for the same. So if you have a Safaricom here or MTN Uganda, it's the same like you are in Uganda. So if that has been violated, we still have to address it. That has been brought to our attention also, that some network don't allow this open network area. But we'll hear from Zain what is the issue. I have experienced that myself some time back. I had to call him and it worked. Maybe my case is different. Yeah. So that addressed the issue of mobile money, but also that bring the connect to the point that was raised by someone regarding the the crime. Now that money is involved, you will see that the level of crime will increase, and that make us to take stringent measures on procedure for establishing this mobile money and be able to mitigate when there are criminal activities taking place. And one of them is activating a strong KYC, the detail of the subscribers that can be verifiable. We are now seeing that with Nile Pay and with M-Grush. They've been having issues, and maybe in future we will have another town hall talk focused to service providers of that level. Richard raised the issue of consumer right. Of course, Richard, this is part of the thing that led to this initiative. Consumer rights are preceded by consumer awareness. So I really wanted that we want to engage in creating awareness, and this is where I appeal to civil society to help make consumer awareness so that people knows what are their rights before they actually come out and speak about it. What has been happening, we expected that the service provider will go and do consumer right, but actually they will go and be promoting their products that we are the best, okay? So, and that is their right, that's their mandate, they are the best. So they will tell you that, and of course the consumer knows that they are the best. Now, we need a third party, an independent person, to be able to make people aware that this product that you are consuming, you have your right, A, B, C, D. This is where we are engaging this, and we want to continue it. And I appeal to join hands with civil society to help me to accomplish this so that we create awareness. The internet is coming, and it will come with a lot of challenges. As one person mentioned earlier, I think it is Paul Chabiat, where people are being scammed on social media. So of late, we have witnessed a lot of impersonation. As the technology improves, crime also come along. So, and the best way to fight crime is to create awareness. So we need also to make awareness about this product, what they bring good and what they bring bad, and how to respond to them. Now, as a regulator, we have a mechanism in place. We have started to engage with the platform providers like Facebook and Twitter and other social media organ. We are working with them and with other civil society bodies to address, one, the issue of misinformation, two, fake news, three, the impersonation of
Continue.
Thank you, Mading, and thank you, Mayan, for your song. I will pick up from the question of Joseph Gama about mobile money and what are NCA plans. Yeah, of course, for us, we wanted the market to be neutral from network dependent. And that's why our license are actually have a shared regulation between us and the central bank. We do regulate the issues of technology used to conduct mobile money, while the central bank regulate the monetary aspect of the mobile money. And as that is an area where we focus now, we coordinate with them, and the two licenses that will be issued to M-Grush and Nile Pay were the first, but they are based on the principle of interoperability between the two mobile money providers, and also we are looking to license more service providers, including the operators, but of course they may not be under them directly. The idea is that we want to keep the mobile money out of the network issues, so that when they engage in it, they will engage it with their partners, but it will be considered as an independent technology running on independent platform. And again, our principle is based on interoperability. That is something that we made a condition for anyone engaging in this. To Richard about the consumer right, of course, we need to work together to bring the issue of awareness for people to know their right, and particularly on the issue that concern economy. Our country is in multiple transitions, and we know some part of South Sudan where people are still engaged in bartering economy, exchanging good for something. So, and those people are still now to realize the monetary economy, getting the paper money. And now we are moving ahead with the mobile money, which is even more abstract. So some people have come to me complaining that their phone is lost and it had mobile money. So them, they assume that they already lost everything. So those things, they need an awareness that even if the device is lost, you can still go back to the subscriber, that your money is there. It's not attached only to mobile. Mobile is only for you to access it. But also there are confidential information that you have to be made aware of. Because sometimes people send their children to the kiosk to pay using mobile money and call them to read to them the PIN number. You know? So those are small things that require constant engagement. Dengbol raised the issue of monopoly.
Dengbol.
Dengbol raised the issue of monopoly. Of course, this is a question that why we try to place ourselves between the service providers and the public. The idea is that we are to represent the public interest while adhering to laws and procedures. So even that we have two operators, we are keeping and watch, and that's why we are holding today the rate adjustment that has not been rolled out, because there are conditions that must be made. And this, the ideal is to actually break down this monopoly and make it that a third party has to play a role. So we are expecting that someone will come up with a third license soon, and that will also come into play. But it doesn't come into play, it doesn't change much. It has to play by market regulations. And what we do as a regulator is to create a level play field for everybody that is coming in. On the issue of subscriptions, these are known as value-added services. So when the operators design their services, people will have certain packages that they can subscribe to, maybe a bundle of pays for a number of minutes. Those are value-added services, are in the domain of marketing strategy of those people. Honorable Rebecca raised a very important issue, that is a universal access fund. As part of our function as a regulator, we collect a universal access fund, which is charged at 2% of the gross collection from the audited books of the operators and all the people engaged in that. That fund is a public money. That fund is designed for the government to invest in areas that the operators find not commercially viable. That fund is also oversight by a trustee. Right now, we are actually lucky to have the secretary of the fund is in the hall here. I would ask later on, he can explain the detail of how that fund is being used so far. We are working together. As a regulator, we ensure the collection of that fund, and most of the operators have been submitting to that money. So this is actually public money. On the issue of Smart Africa, yes, we are active member in the Smart Africa, as you narrated, Animo, about our participation at the highest level, and also paying our subscriptions. Like everything else, our subscription was affected, but we are addressing those issues. But again, our brothers in the East Africa have been very kind enough to allow us to continue to participate in these bodies, not only Smart Africa, at the ATU, at the East African telecommunication bodies, and ITU, as well as Commonwealth communication. But also there are protocols that South Sudan need to ratify. We have a protocol for standardizing ICT services across the region. It has been ratified by about 2 countries now. South Sudan is making a submission on that so that it can be ratified as soon as the parliament is active here. Our minister is in that, addressing it, to make sure that we conform to the practice in East Africa. And our benefit here is that so that we can hold MTN accountable, that why are you giving us a service that is below what the other guys are getting in Rwanda? So these protocols are very important. So that will also help us as regulators so that we can share information with the regulators in the region so that they know this is the benchmark and they must demand that. So that protocol is now with our minister, and it will be tabled to our parliament for ratification soon. Brian talked about the issue of consumer protections, again monopoly, that I think I had addressed earlier, but I would go to the question raised by John Biar about the cost of fiber optic. Ideally, fiber optic should bring a relief to our stagnation of internet services. But of course, the people who invested in fiber optic have reached Juba, and they have been distributing it. It's still out of reach of everyone because there are technologies that we have not yet put in place as a regulator to be able to effectively impose a tariff on these services. And one of them is something known as IP exchange point. The IP exchange point is basically a point where all the traffic are terminated and it creates a local internet services. Right now, when you access your email, Mr. John Biar, your email basically is fetched probably from where your server is based, maybe in America. Yeah, so that causes the price of downloading and all the traffic between you in Juba and wherever your account is based. But when we do this, it will create a local cache where traffic will be local so that we have our own internet connectivity and exchange. Services which are available, we can now ask them to bring them locally like Google or Facebook. They will have local servers if need be, making it seamlessly very fast. Therefore, it will reduce. Right now, we are still being served almost at the satellite level. The internet connection now is still traffic all the way back to where the internet is coming from because there is no local exchange. And it is because the absence of local exchange, that's why our .ss services has not really catch up so fast. And we are addressing that, we hope, before the end of the year, at least by first quarter of the next 2021, we should be able to have our internet exchange point in place, and the experience for internet will significantly change. And it will be something that we want to make as a priority for our people to really benefit from the internet services and be able to hold the service providers that they must keep the tariff down, and we will give them the tariff. So far, as a regulator, we have not issued tariff on bundles. Not so far as I know. I think my colleagues from NCA who has been there before me can explain. I think I've exhausted all the questions that were.
Thank you very
from me.
much.
Thank
We
you.
are running on overtime, but I will give those two chances, Universal Access Fund. But first, Chamber of Commerce can have a say. Simon Aquez. Very briefly.
DG for this forum. These are some of the forums that are missing so that our public officials can face the public and clarify issues. So we hope this continue. A lot of other questions that I wanted to ask have already been answered, so I will not go back to that. But from the business community, especially the South Sudanese business community, there is this issue of local content that is bothering everyone. Do your license as NCA segregate between an investor who is international in nature and a South Sudanese who want to catch up? What space do South Sudanese have to be able to do business instead of being mere consumers? My position is advocacy, and I would want to say that we welcome investors to South Sudan, but every investor must have certain level where they operate to allow South Sudanese also to have a space to do business. So the license should not be unlimited. There should be certain categories where we do business and where the small guys catch up. And this is something that I want us to look at. Is it in the regulations of NCA that there should be a space for us, for South Sudanese small guys? And if it is not in that regulation, then we want it in that document, the law that establish NCA. So this is something that we are not a new country as such, but I think we are new in number of services that are being offered. And therefore, we also need a cushion from our government to give us a certain cushion and encourage us to do that. So the second thing is, how do South Sudan benefit from internet companies that are operating outside South Sudan and don't have offices in South Sudan? This is one big competition that we have in the downstream. I know the GSM companies are known, but there are so many internet providers that are operating somewhere and they don't have offices here. They are not taxed, the prices are so cheap, and they don't even have licenses in South Sudan in the first place. So how do we benefit as a country with these companies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the two here in front, the engineer from NCA and then the Universal Access Fund.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to talk about the tariff that has been said.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Engineer Simon Philip, the Director for Planning and Business Development in the NCA. Tariff is supposed to be revised every 4 months. This is in the Constitution, in the Act we have. What I'm going to say is only that we are not going to tell you exactly how much we are going to raise, but it depends on the communication later on between us and the operators. And changing the tariff has got a lot of factors, market factors. This one will be addressed later in the NCA. Second thing is that it depends also, we cannot release the issue just now, but as the DG said, now this issue depends on the issue between the operator, the quality of service. If the quality of service, we see that the quality of service is okay, now soon the tariff will be announced to you. Thank you.
Yes.
DG of NCA, CEO of MTN.
You have very little time.
Representative of CEO of Zain, and the audience. Good afternoon. My name is Engineer Lemi. I am the Secretary General of Universal Service and Access Fund. Honorable Minister, thank you for bringing up the issue of Universal Service and Access Fund. Otherwise, if you had not brought it up, we were going to disperse from here without talking about it. For those who don't know what Universal Service and Access Fund is, Universal Service and Access Fund is a government entity which was established through the Communication Act. The act that established NCA also established Universal Service and Access Fund. But it took long for Universal Service and Access Fund to be operationalized. It actually started as a small office under the NCA. It was last year around June. Then in October, Honorable Minister Michael Makwe issued a ministerial order for the establishment of the fund. So the fund was established on October 14th, 2019. And another ministerial order was issued appointing me as the Secretary General of the fund. So since establishment, we have been engaging with the stakeholders, MTN and Zain, plus the ISPs, because they're supposed to make some contribution to the fund. And that fund is used to extend communication services to those areas that are not desirable for business. There are areas that are hard to reach. There are areas that, don't make business sense for the operators. So that fund is used to help them go to those areas. We actually encourage them to go there. We do a lot of feasibility. We do some calculations. For instance, if an investment is done in an area, how long does it take to reach a break-even point? Then we keep supporting them until they reach break-even point. Then after that, we leave them to survive on their own. So at the moment, we are conducting one project that is a baseline study. We first need to understand the statistics in the country. For instance, how many people have access to ICT services? And also we need to understand the level of infrastructure deployment, their capacity. For instance, there is an infrastructure somewhere. how is it being used fully or it is being underused so that we can make some adjustments because we just don't want to jump into investment and waste public money. So at the moment we have hired a consultant who will I think come to the country within the next 3 weeks. In the middle of November they will be here, and early next year, February, we shall make the report public.
Thank you very
anyway,
much.
if you want to know more about Universal
need
Service
your
and
own
Access
awareness.
Fund, just visit our website, www.usaf.gov.ss. Everything is there. I cannot exhaust it right now.
Thank you very much. Now, let's hear from the operators very quickly. We are running on overtime, so I'm just counting on editing.
All right. Quickly, I think the issue of VivaCell and the quality keeps coming up, and the duopoly. Yeah, well, I just want to tell you that, I mean, ever since VivaCell actually closed shop, and for the reasons that were alluded to by the DG, MTN has invested 49 million since if you count 2019 and 2020. And we are not stopping now. But you see also one other thing that you need to look at when you are considering the investments in South Sudan. A site here will cost you close to 300,000, 400,000 US dollars. In other markets, it is much less. So when you see how much you can do with the investment that you have put aside, in here it's like a drop in the ocean. But we persist and we continue to invest. I'm sure even we've just completed our business plan and we're waiting for approval. In 2021, we are injecting even more investments than we have been doing. So bear with us. We are getting there, and we are committed to actually getting our footprint correct. And of course, in terms of the competition, I'm sure we are also ready for the competition. I think there is but you will notice that also there are markets like South Africa, which is even a bigger economy, and they also have like three operators. So monopoly or duopoly is really shouldn't be a big concern. It's what as long as we are held accountable and to the standard that you need us to deliver by the regulator, I think that shouldn't be any problem. But in any case, we are still ready for that. I think just quickly maybe to touch on the digital inclusion that you talked about, Anima. Yeah, I think that is also something that MTN has invested quite a lot in. We look at, I mean, there are areas in the rural which previously, because of the high cost of rolling out a site, may not be viable. But we have also been researching with the vendors and partners to make sure that we come up with rural coverage solutions that would also help us deliver services in there and still remain viable. And also another investment that we are making is the devices. Because there are so many people who are left out in this whole digital game because they cannot afford the devices. There is a lot that also MTN has put in trying to invest and partner with other vendors to make sure we can deliver affordable devices to the people so that that is no longer an entry barrier for anyone to partake into the digital economy or digital world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, and thank you, audience, for your questions and remarks. Basically, I just will really need to echo on what I said before. We, as in just this year, which is starting and ending now, we have spent more than 11 million USD. This is to improve the network, put more sites, and with the challenges that we do have, even to erect a new site is becoming difficult, but we are working even together with MTN so that at least we can share facilities. The purpose, because we need to roll out very fast, and then also the rooftop is an option, but you can see in South Sudan, especially in Juba, there's so few buildings that you can use for rooftop. Adding to the challenges that we do have, I have some few questions that in other places we don't have much services better, but basically you can just know the situation where we are moving on. Now with the flood, like what the DG just mentioned, in Jungule, I have a site now which is already inside the water. you can just imagine that the BTS is already covered with water, but yet we need to give service over there. We have plans to restore off-air sites, of which we have sites in Upper Nile, in Nagdiar, in Baliet, Ulang, all those sites. Even the challenges that we do have over there to get the fuel is an issue. Leave out transporting equipment. You know, to the extent that there are some places, like in Bibor, you will not have aggregate to build a tower. So you take sand and aggregate from one town, you move it with a chopper there so that you build a site. So imagine the challenges. As he's just mentioned, in other places, $300,000 to build a site. In other places where you don't have an aggregate, it even goes more than that. Few things just to mention of some of the information about roaming. Yes, roaming itself, it depends on the bilateral and unilateral agreement that you have with that country. You know, when we started as a new country in 2011, the biggest challenge is that huge operators like IFU, we have been pushing them and asking them for roaming. But when they look into what do you have as a number of subscribers, they don't even answer to you. So there are more challenges with other partners. And I think this is where NCA also will help us to ensure that at least we can work together to have roaming in more places. And again, like just few remarks to my brother, he has just mentioned that has been frustrated. But then let me assure you, whenever we get something from Red Army, that there's an announcement for gathering, people even can testify that. Simon will ask us at night, the following day you get the message, which means that people are not frustrated. We are doing it, okay? And this is something, this is something that we need to look into, that we are doing, and we're making sure that people get information so that at least they come together, and with the limited infrastructure we have, we're moving forward. The exit of Vivacell will not, life will move. As human beings, people go and people come. We are there to work in the market. We are now dimensioning to our network to ensure that we fill the gaps. And let me assure you, even with the Vivacell, you will not get data, but we are still there. You will enjoy the data. And more cities are coming up. Now I have 36 sites, and just for you to inform, 36 are coming up in the off-air areas that we have conflict due to 2013 and 2016 unfortunate event that came to our country. We're looking forward to improve and to give more services, and just watch, you will see. Thank you.
The last word, where do we go from here?
Thank you, Mading, and thank you to my colleagues at the panel. I think before I conclude, I would like to answer the question raised by the business chamber, Simon Akwe. Of course, the license that we give, and maybe to draw your attention, that technology has basically blurred the line between what is local and what is international. Local companies become international, international companies become local, simply because the services where they draw the resources are international. So our license don't segregate, we stick to standards and requirement. What you said about, there are people, of course, who try to break that. The entry level for an internet service provider license has been designed in a way that it is inclusive and it stretch out the fee according to the company capabilities. Many of the local companies that has come up sometime are not able to do a complete payment of the license fee. They have been given a referees to stretch it out during the time until they establish themselves. We do that in order to encourage the local companies to take up the duties. Now, since my appointment, a new policy ship is coming in, and we have put all the ISP in notice. I think you might have seen a circular recently requesting all of them, and we will have a meeting similar to this where we address the issues. It's not only about the license, it is the congestion of Juba. Everybody thinks Juba is South Sudan. So we are going to ask them to stretch, to go outside the other states, and we are going to make that a condition in the license, preferential. So that, for example, if you want to be an internet service provider in South Sudan, you must be in a minimum of 3 states or 5, instead of just sitting in Juba. These days, people come with their satellite and they sit in Nyakuren and they say they are service provider because they are providing internet to 2 or 3 foreign companies or NGOs who pay their bill in Brussels. So there is more than that. There are people doing tax evasion. Because of that, their bills are paid outside the country, and services are given here. So we are working together with the NRA and with the Ministry of Justice to address this issue right from the registration point of view. When these people are instituted, we want to actually make them visible. And we have asked the operators who actually give subcontracted services to some of these briefcase companies. We are now asking the operators that we are going to register everybody giving service to the sector, whether as an individual or as a company, or you are doing it on behalf of MTN or Zain. We are going to register these companies so that they are brought into books and we can now regulate what exactly do they do. And it is through that registration and regularization that we will ensure that national companies are also encouraged, and they are not being given an easy way, because they must also meet the standards of quality of service. You cannot give poor services because you are a local company. No, we will not accept that, because ICT service is a service and it must meet a certain standard that are international. So we will address those issues through adjusting our licensing policies, especially to weed out the briefcase companies and also to encourage those who are coming. Genuinely, technology sector is a capital intensive. So people who have taken the risk to come all the way here and to invest, we must also encourage those people, because they are actually the largest employer today in the sector. MTN and Zain, roughly they are employing around 100,000 people across the country, directly or indirectly. Take, for example, the person who's selling airtime. That is an employment. The person who's doing SIM card registration, that's an employment. The people who are supplying fuel, the people who are supplying maintenance, the security guard who is guarding the tower, all these are indirect employment through these people. And so as a regulator, we see that as a benefit, as part of the service to our people, and we would like to protect that. That company must remain functioning, even if they don't make profit, as long as they employ this mass number, and particularly the youth. We will try to stand with the operator to encourage them to do that.
In conclusion, I would like you to talk about the fact that in this show, we speak of fixing South Sudan. What is the role of NCA in fixing South Sudan? Can NCA fix South Sudan?
We fix South Sudan through making service available, not only in Juba, but in places where South Sudan fixing mean a lot, in the villages. So this is what NCA can contribute to fixing South Sudan through service provision, Mading.
Thank you.
I hope that we will hold this talk outside Juba next time.
Thank you very much for being in the forum. And let me thank you, the audience, and also thank our distinguished panelists, Honorable Napoleon Adok Gai, Director General, National Communication Authority, Mr. Gordian Kyomukama, Chief Executive Officer, MTN South Sudan, Mr. Wilson Lado, Technology Director and Representative of CEO South Sudan. A lot to talk about, very little time. Thanks to all of you. Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Mading Ngor.
Republic.